Am I the antagonist for calling my date weird? I, 23-year-old man, have gone on a couple of dates, like 6, with this girl Sky, 22-year-old woman. Everything was going well. Sky is really attractive and funny. We seem to be getting along pretty well. On Tuesday, Sky and I had plans to go to dinner at a new restaurant that opened up near her home. I showed up at her door to pick her up and she told me to come inside and wait because her roommate had texted her and asked if she could drop her keys off at her job since she forgot them. Sky said she was having trouble finding the keys and invited me to wait for her inside her house. While waiting, I asked if I could look at the new painting Sky made and told me about a while ago. She said yes and that the painting was hanging in her room. I went into her room and noticed she had a huge wall of Polaroids of her friends and family. I began looking at the pictures and noticed this guy showed up in a few of the pictures, maybe 6 or so out of the 20 she had. There was even a picture of him with his arm around her shoulder. Sky came in and said she was ready to go. I asked about the photo wall and she laughed a little and asked if I wanted my picture up there too. I said sure. She snapped a photo and hung it next to the picture of her and the guy. So I took that as my chance to ask her who he was. Sky then casually mentioned that he was her ex-boyfriend and that the two had dated for a while, from senior year of high school to sophomore year of college, but broke up 2 years ago. I asked why she still had his picture up if they broke up, and she shrugged and said they were still friends, and that their breakup was mutual, and that they had just grown apart and decided to just be friends. I asked if she still spoke to him and she again shrugged and said occasionally, and that they had a lot of friends in common and saw each other sometimes at parties and such. She also said that he watches her cat when she goes out of town, since the two had gotten the cat together and she kept it after they broke up. Sky then asked why I cared. I told her honestly I found the whole thing super weird and I was kinda uncomfortable with it. I then said that people usually don't keep in contact with exes they broke up with years ago unless they still have feelings for them. Sky said she didn't find it weird, but if I did that was my problem because she wasn't going to limit her friends just because I'm not comfortable. We did end up going to dinner but she hasn't spoken to me since. My friends thought I was being reasonable and that it was a little weird. But some of my other friends think I was being a jerk over something that truly doesn't matter. They also think I should apologize to Sky. IDK though, if I'm really in the wrong for this, it is weird and does make me uncomfortable. I spoke with my friend who set me and Sky up as she's pretty close to Sky. The friend said that the two barely speak. The only real reason they still do is because her older sister is engaged to his older brother. You're the antagonist. I don't want to sound totally unkind when I say that your insecurity is palpable. What this lady, whom you barely know, has done in her life, or displays on her wall, is nothing for you to judge, to control, or otherwise make a negative comment upon. If you can't handle the fact that she dated someone before you and hasn't burned all the evidence of that relationship, you have a good deal of growing up to do. My BF sent me a pic with a Grindr watermark. Now I think my relationship is over. A few days ago, my partner sent me a picture of his abdomens. While admiring the photo, I was horrified to discover there was a Grindr watermark at the bottom of the photo. We have been dating just over 6 months. I have never ever had any indication he could be into men. We have the most incredible sex life. We have both said we've never experienced this level of sexual chemistry. When we started dating, I let him know I was bi-curious. He never said anything. They've expressed they wanted to marry me and propose after a year. We've met each other's families and friends and everything clicked so well. I thought they were the love of my life. I thought they were forever. So you can imagine how distraught and perplexed to see they were on Grindr. When I confronted them about the photo, I expected them to lie or pretend it was an old photo. They didn't lie and told me that they were out of their mind on cocaine and had a curiosity. I tried to ask them about this curiosity and they couldn't really explain it. I asked them if they were bi-curious or were curious about the app or getting their sex organs sucked by a person or what. They said they couldn't really explain. It was just because they were out of their mind high on coke. Obviously the cocaine is a separate issue in and of itself, but it's the using Grindr while being with me that I can't get past here. They said they never did anything or met anyone and only was on it for 20-30 minutes before they realized what they were doing and deleted it. How am I to know that's the truth? The only truth I do know is that they used a sex hookup site while being in a relationship with me. Now I question their sexual orientation, if I'm enough or will ever be enough, and question the entire reality of our relationship. I feel like it is completely ruined. They say they want to work through this, that they will never ever go on the app again and are going to quit drugs and will show me every day how much they love me. But IDK, I can't even look at them the same. The thought of them touching me makes me feel sick now. To me, by going on that site, they cheated. Whether or not they met up with someone, they obviously exchanged at least one picture with a person. The purpose of the site means they cheated. I do not forgive cheaters. So I guess my relationship is actually over, but I'm just so confused and could use any advice to help me sort out what to do. Part of me wants to try before throwing in the towel, but I feel like there's no point. How can I come back from this? How can I ever stop worrying that I may not be enough? Sorry lady, but you lost me at out of his mind on cocaine and talking about marriage after 6 months. This man is crazy and you need to do yourself a favor and get out now. Talking about marriage 6 months in, out of his mind on cocaine, and on a dating hookup app are all huge red flags. He's 34, does coke, and is on Grindr. There is nothing more that needs to be said. Just dump this dude and move on. Am I the antagonist for ignoring my stepdad trying to put me in timeout? To offer background insight, I, 16 years old, have been wrestling for about 3-4 years now and have started attending a wrestling club. 6:38 p.m. since the school season has ended. Now whenever I want to go, I always ask my mom, 38 years old. But half of the time I want to go somewhere, she'll say no just because and never give me any reason. Keep in mind the only places I ever try to go are school, work, and the gym. The time she does give me a reason, she'll say that she doesn't want me going anywhere, go do homework, or the area where the club is located is in a dangerous place, which I can say isn't in the best part of town, but there definitely aren't gangs just sitting outside waiting for someone to pass by and rob them. To give information about myself, I've never drunk, smoked. I have all A's and B's including in advanced classes, have a job, and a girlfriend of over a year and a half. So a few days ago, I asked my mom if I could go to the wrestling club and she said no. I asked why, and she told me to finish my homework, which I made sure I did before asking. She still said no, but I already had a ride to the club, so I decided that I'm just going to go because I've missed out on 2 weeks of practice now, and I don't want to start falling behind or getting out of shape. Fast forward to when I get back home, it's about 8:30 p.m., and she's in the living room waiting for me. She asks why I went, and I told her I couldn't keep missing out on practices. She doesn't care about any of the previous excuses she's made up before, nor was she mad. She's just a little upset that I left without her permission but forgets about it quickly. The next day, my stepfather, 47 years old, confronts me about it and says I'm going to be in a timeout because I left without her permission. But I just ignored him and walked away. It's now the day before my supposed timeout, and I don't plan on listening to what he has to say, strictly because he has never played a role as a father to me, and is probably only doing this because I upset my mother. I have 2 younger siblings, his kids, but my mother had me from a previous relationship. He's lived with my mom since I was 5, but we've never talked or had a close relationship. The only time we talk is saying hi and bye, and that's it. Also, the last time I got in trouble, one of my family members told him to start acting like my father, to which he said why and I don't have to. He doesn't talk to me outside of when we bump into each other at work, but besides that, it's only a simple hey exchanged. Part of me wants to just listen to him and get this over with, but the other part of me says he's never acted like my father, so why try now? I also lack respect for the person he is, but that doesn't matter now. I don't want anyone to think I disrespect my mother, because if she told me to get in timeout, I'd listen. But it's a different story with him. Am I the asshole? It's ridiculous that your parents are giving you a timeout at 16. You should have more independence by now. Your mom should be supportive of you going to practice instead of stopping you. Just let her know where you're going instead of asking for permission, especially if she's not driving you there. Not the antagonist. Am I the antagonist for wanting my husband to hug me when I'm having a panic attack? I realize this is crazy asking Reddit for this, but I need some reasonable responses from outside sources. My husband, 28-year-old man, and I, 28-year-old woman, have been married for a couple years, been together more than 5 years before that. We've gone through some tough stuff together. Mainly we don't communicate well when under stress. He loses his temper and I cry. We have always had this issue that when I am upset, I hate having someone explain what's happening and use words to explain the logic of my situation to me. I just need a hug. That helps me calm down immediately. I have expressed this numerous times. My husband refuses to do this for me. He basically says he doesn't want me to depend on him for that comfort when I'm having a panic attack, that I should be able to get out of it on my own. Our therapist has recommended that he do meditation and that I find ways to self-soothe. I am now in early pregnancy, and I have always been terrified of going through this. I have severe phobia of needles and medical things in general. My first blood test is in a few days, and I have been freaking out whenever I think about it. The closer it gets, the more anxious I get about the blood test and the whole pregnancy in general. Last night I had a panic attack about it, and he just stared at me and told me I'm having a panic attack. The more he explained what was happening to me, the more alone I felt. I realized that he will not hug me when I need it most. He actually told me he doesn't want to be a life preserver, so I told him I don't want him to go to any appointments with me. My mom will go with me, and I will ask her to be my support person in delivery. Because he will not provide the physical support I need now, so I'm scared he won't do it during what will probably be the scariest and most traumatizing experience of my life. He got very offended and left the house to think. I feel crazy. Am I being completely unreasonable? I just feel like this is my body and my experience, and I am terrified. And as my partner, he should support me the way I need to be supported. So am I the asshole for wanting him to hug me when I'm having a panic attack? Or for threatening to exclude him from the whole pregnancy birth process because of this? It's really concerning that your husband is self-absorbed and selfish, especially when you're going to have a child together. Communication and boundaries are key in situations like this, and perhaps seeking guidance from your therapist on self-soothing techniques could help. It's clear that both of you need to work on managing your emotions in a healthy and safe way, especially with a baby on the way. Ultimately, Prioritizing your well-being and the well-being of your child should be the focus in this situation. Am I the antagonist for refusing to let mother-in-law watch my son overnight again? My husband, 38 years old, and I, 32 years old, had our first son 4 months ago. Since he was born, my mother-in-law has been begging to keep him for an overnight stay to give us a break. I've been hesitant because he is really a very easy baby. We all get plenty of sleep and he makes being a mom easy. She babysits during the day on occasion. Well, we were invited out by friends and my husband wanted to see a movie tomorrow, so I agreed to let son spend the night with mother-in-law. I explained my expectations, the only major one being safe sleep protocol. I told her he must sleep on his back, no exceptions. She didn't have to use the swaddle, she's expressed scorn for them in the past. I sent him with a sleep sack too, so she was free to use that if she could get him relaxed enough in it, but he must be on his back. It was my only rule. I've caught her letting him nap on his tummy before, but she's always been directly supervising him, and being a new mom, I didn't really want to start anything in those situations. But with a full overnight I was adamant, back sleep only, while she was also sleeping. She agreed to this. On our way home from our night out, I became uneasy and asked her to send me a picture of him because I was having a hard time being away from him. She sent me a picture of him laying flat on his belly asleep in the bassinet. Then I think she remembered my rule, because it was followed up hastily with "I have to turn him over. He keeps rolling." This, dear readers, was a lie. My son isn't rolling yet. We've been practicing daily, but he still doesn't have the strength or muscle memory to do it by himself yet. He was a month premature, so some physical developmental milestones are still a little ways off. I turned to my husband and after a quick discussion, we turned around to drive the hour to pick him up at 2 in the morning. On the way, my husband laid into her for lying to us, and by the time we got there she was crying and refused to acknowledge us at all. I grabbed the baby in his car seat and she threw his diaper bag at me and slammed the door behind it as I worked to get my son packed up. On the way home, my husband and talked some more, and I told him that I'd see how our son slept in the sleep sack, and if he really did keep rolling while in it, I'd call mother-in-law the next day and apologize. Once home, I put him to bed and he couldn't even get settled without his swaddle. He was nowhere close to rolling, just flailing his arms around and crying when he whacked himself in the face, since he's not accustomed to having his arms free overnight yet. So she disobeyed my only rule and put him to bed on his belly, and is angry with us for calling her out for lying about it. I could be the a-hole for refusing to give her another chance, but I worry that the patterns of disrespecting my parenting, because I'm a new mom, will simply continue if I don't put my foot down about this one rule. Am I the a-hole here? Not the antagonist. Your mother-in-law's repeated disregard for your parenting decisions, including lying about following safety guidelines for your baby's sleep, is concerning. It's clear she prioritizes her own way of raising your children over yours. Throw in her angry outburst and throwing the diaper bag at you and it's a no-brainer. She shouldn't be trusted to babysit. It's not about being picky, it's about the safety and well-being of your child. Am I the antagonist for stringing my family along about going on vacation with them? I am the youngest kid in my family. I am 10 years younger than my youngest sibling. My brothers, sister, and parents used me as an unpaid babysitter a lot when I was growing up, so I could bond with my nieces and nephews. Whenever a family vacation rolls around, my folks and my siblings go, have fun, and leave me with all the kids since I can't go to some of the places they go, or I am told that I probably wouldn't be interested in doing some of the stuff they do. I made up my mind over Christmas that I was done doing the babysitting, so I am going along with all the planning. I am helping my folks research some great local restaurants in the city where we are going. I'm helping my siblings find cool and interesting things for all the kids to do. It will be an amazing holiday, which I am going to blow off. I am going to university out of state in the fall. I have a partial scholarship and money from my grandparents for my education and my future. My parents cannot hold anything over my head. I am actually going to go on my own vacation with a couple of friends. My parents are not abusive or anything. They are just old. And my siblings are from a different generation than I am. My oldest sibling is literally old enough to be my parent. They treat me more like a child than a sibling. I am interested to see how their vacation goes without me along. Obviously, I cannot help them pre-plan childcare, and the reservations at some of the restaurants do not include me or the kids. Also, the days they are having adult outings they have planned for the kids and I to be elsewhere. My oldest niece is only 15, so I don't think they will leave her in charge. But they have been grooming her to take my spot when I go to school, so maybe they will mess her over. Not really my problem. A couple of things before I hand myself over for judgment. I have been clear several times in the past that I do not want to babysit. I have asked for payment and been told that my being on vacation is my payment. I do love my family, but I don't like them much. Like I said, my parents are old, and if they weren't Catholic, they probably wouldn't have had me. My siblings do not treat me as an equal, which is fair. I'm 17 and just finishing high school. They are all working professionals. We do not have much in common. I love my siblings, but they do not treat me like an aunt like they do with my sister. I am more like the oldest cousin. And lastly, I have spent a long time thinking about this. I am okay with screwing them all over. We went on a family trip to Spain last summer, and I didn't get to do anything I wanted to do, besides go to the beach because I was watching the kids. So I missed out on the Guggenheim in Bilbao and the Prado in Madrid, along with other things. That was the last straw. You deserve an amazing holiday with your friends. Ignore the haters. Sounds like missing the Guggenheim would be infuriating though. Your vacation shouldn't be seen as payment for anything. Just enjoy your time off and relax without distractions. Just remember to turn off your phone and enjoy your time with friends without any interruptions. Not the antagonist. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.